experience? I once figured out I'd been shot at, shelled, or bombed on 21 different occasions, including once by U.S. Destroyer Division 23, and twice in land combat when I found myself temporarily attached to the 2nd Marine Parachute Battalion. Jack Searles got shot at or bombed 28 times. My personal experience is therefore pretty good. I was recommended for a Legion of Merit and a Silver Star, which ended up as a Bronze Star because headquarters said that the first 2 were for actions that did not do damage to the enemy. In Lieutenant John F. Kennedy, Expendable, Chandler Whipple curiously describes me as a cool customer in combat. Rather pompous? How do I deflate this? I was a good several rungs below PT men like Joe Burke, the greatest barge buster of them all, John McKelly, savior of MacArthur, and a model of PT aggressiveness, Les Gamble and Jack Searles, who fought through the grim early days of Guadalcanal, Murray Preston, who endured 2.5 hours under enemy fire to rescue a downed pilot, Ed Du Bois and Stanley Barnes, who went up against the German F-lighters in the Mediterranean, and a score of others who were better at it than I was. Kennedy was sometimes called Shafty because, when given some dreary job, he would observe to his friends, "Shafted again." Likewise, I was sometimes called Gunga Dick. This distortion of Kipling came from Joe Roberts, who served as my boat exec for longer than he thought necessary, until he was finally promoted to a boat of his own. Picture the Marlboro Man, and you have Joe. Rugged, handsome, with a big rust-colored mustache, Joe was usually taciturn to match his looks. One idle day near the close of our tour in the Solomons, he appropriated the base typewriter and pecked away at it into the evening. He produced an ode about me that entertained the base for days. Omitting the more scurrilous passages, it goes like this. Now Gunga Dick, he was no beauty, but his legs would do their duty, though to look at them you'd always wonder why. The uniform he wore was damn near always tore, and there most always were no buttons on his fly. His hair was a tangled mess that matched the way he'd dress, and his fingernails were gnawed clean to the bone. All in all, he looked like hell, but from long tall tales he'd tell, you'd think in love and war he stood alone. I hope to forget the date of that farce in Blackett Strait, when the express was running into PT confusion. The radio was a screaming fright, and the flares a fearful sight, so Gunga fired twice to be amusin'. When he hollers at his next flare, he will take off in the air, and Mephisto will claim his withered soul. So I'll meet him when I kicks, as I cross the river Styx, where it's always condition red with no foxholes. He'll be sprawled in a shambles, no one listens as he rambles, and I'll hear a yarn in hell from Gunga Dick. But for all his sordid tales, on each venture he never fails. What a man, Gunga Dick. So there you have me in the year 1943. If the tone of an old lawyer occasionally leaks through here, it means that my 2 lives have blurred, but only along the edges. For the most part, you'll hear the voice of a tall, skinny, fidgety PT captain, with that 1,000-yard stare that comes to those who are close to the edge, and the arrogance to hold him on the near side for a while longer.